It's no secret that the Kia EV6 has been not only one of the best electric cars, but actually one of the best cars to come to market in the last couple of years. It's because it's got a large battery which is capable of about 528 kilometer range. It costs about 52,000 euros including your grant, and it looks really, really good. Now Kia have one up themselves, and so we've been invited today to Kia Ireland to check out the new Kia EV6 GT. So prices for the EV6 GT, they're estimated to be about 85,000 euros. Not 100% confirmed just yet. Quite a lot more than the regular EV6, but what do you get for that? So first and foremost, you get 21-inch alloy wheels, and they're wrapped in some Michelin Pilot Sport 4S tyres. In my opinion, one of the best all-around tyres you can get. And you might notice these 4-pot fluorescent yellow brake calipers. We'll talk about the specs on them later. You also get these beautiful, really premium, really comfortable bucket seats. And this fluorescent yellow GT button. And for that, we need to go for a drive. Whilst it does have the same 77.4 kilowatt hour battery, where the normal car has between 230 and a little over 300 brake horsepower, this has a bit more. Well, quite a lot more actually. About 80% more. So when I put my foot down and I click GT mode, I have 576 brake horsepower, and it's a car that will make you lose your license. Now, with all that said, being truthfully honest, I'm still not convinced, and there's two reasons for that. Number one is, if you told me that an American or a German or even a Japanese car manufacturer had come out with a high performance electric car, I'd automatically assume it's going to be pretty good. However, the Koreans have never really been one to introduce performance cars over the years. They're more known for their kind of hatchbacks and their saloons. If you think about it, the only really good Kia that ever existed was the Kia Stinger GT. Now, I never drove one, but I believe it had 365 brake horsepower, 510 newton meters of torque, and to everyone I've spoke to that drove it, they said it was very good. But why didn't it catch on in Europe? Well, there's a couple of reasons. Number one is European people tend to love European cars, but on top of that, it's very hard and very expensive for brands to bring over the big engines, as homologating them for EU laws is quite difficult. The second reason I'm not convinced is because it weighs over 2 tons. So to drive as an everyday car, it's very much like the normal EV6. It's really big, it's really comfortable, there's loads of space in the back. But I do want to break this up into different parts: power, braking. First we'll start with suspension though. And again, like I said, in normal mode, it's exactly like an ordinary EV6. There's a few small changes, things like there's thicker anti-roll bars at the rear. But other than that, it's virtually the same, except it's got what I think is Kia's first ever electronically controlled suspension setup. And what that means is it can adapt in the different driving modes. So in normal, it's very comfortable, but if I click it into GT, it loosens and actually makes the front a little bit softer and the rear a little bit stiffer. And it's actually very agile in the corners. It is, and I'm quoting Kia here, it's idiot proof. It really is glued to the road. I get a very R35 Nissan GTR or Golf 4 feel from it. It really instills confidence in you. You can hear it there correcting me to stay in my lane. But it's very capable. The steering, pretty on point too. It's very light. There's not a lot of weighting in it. But it goes exactly where you want to. And you really have to be pushing this thing hard to feel like you're on the edge, because it's very well balanced. Braking up next. So to begin with, being a fully electric car, it's got what's called the I pedal, so it's regenerative braking, and when you take your foot off the accelerator, it regenerates power and comes to a complete halt. What's more is, it can actually gain up to 300 kilowatts through regenerative braking. That is an insane amount. I think that's the most in any electric car ever. But more importantly, what are they like as performance brakes? 380mm discs, 4-pot caliper, and they're really, really good. Here's what happens if you hit the brakes hard. It stops very quickly. Part of what makes it idiot-proof is that it's all-wheel drive. Now, the good thing about when an electric car is all-wheel drive is it's not only a lot more grippy, but it's generally speaking a lot quicker. Now, the reason for this is because instead of one motor, it's got two. So this has a 160 kilowatt motor at the front and a 270 kilowatt motor at the rear. And what that means is you can hear cameras and everything going, because it's got 576 brake horsepower, 740 newton meters of torque. This thing will do over 200 kilometers per hour. It is insane. Now, I want to talk about the 0 to 100 kilometer per hour time, because believe it or not, it's faster than an Audi RS3. It's faster than a BMW M4. It's even faster than an Aston Martin Vantage. Let's just give it a go. And we're there. This will do 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 3.5 seconds. And I swear on my life, that is quicker than a Lamborghini Murcielago. Just think about that for a second. A car with 5 seats that weighs 2 ton is faster than a Lamborghini Murcielago to 100 kilometers per hour. Mind-blowing. So overall, as a package to drive, it's perfectly capable around town. You can then, if you want to take it to the track, you're more than welcome to. It can have a drift mode. I've actually seen some videos of people drifting. It didn't look too natural. It's kind of like when the fat dad goes to the skate park. Just, he doesn't belong there, but he's still technically able to do it. But that said, as a whole driving, it's really enjoyable. It's quite engaging. It's got this lovely noise, and I'm not sure if you can hear, but it's almost an electric noise to describe it. And as a whole, I think it's brilliant, and I definitely think it's worth the €85,000. If that's the price that this hits the market in Ireland, if you compare it to the Polestar 2 with the performance pack, which will be 480 something brake horsepower, this is quicker, but I do think this is probably better. It's even probably better than a Tesla, even though it doesn't have the infrastructure. The only thing that I can really think of, and I've had to slow down because a sheep just went past me there, maybe you would consider an Audi e-tron, but then that's so much more money. But honestly, recently I drove the e-tron GTRS, and it's a little bit better than this, but it's not the likes of 40 or 50 grand better. This is really good. So it's got up to 428 kilometer range. It can do up to 260 kilometers per hour. It's got a warranty of up to 7 years or 150,000 kilometers. All of that, and it costs less than €100,000. In fact, it will cost substantially less than €150,000. A lot of me, as a person who loves petrol cars and noise, didn't necessarily want to enjoy this as much as I have, but I have really enjoyed it. And the reason for this is now, in a world where we're moving away from the V8 and the V6 and the V10 and the V12, you're never going to have Kia turn around and go, here you go, here's a twin turbocharged V6 with 450 horsepower. It's never going to happen. However, because of electrification, Kia are able to turn around and say, here is a 576 brake horsepower car, enjoy. And for that reason, this car is absolutely brilliant. If you've enjoyed this video, then please make sure to subscribe. Comment below what cars you'd like to see us review in the near future. And if you've ever driven one of these, let us know what your experience is. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.